Let me introduce our first trainer today. Our first trainer is Toastmaster Madhavi Tiwary, and we all know she is in Toastmaster for many, many years. She has joined actually in 1997, and she has presented a number of education workshops for chief judging, for evaluations at different levels, club, area, division, district level. She has that specialty, that distinction, that she has served as a chief judge. Can you guess for how many contests? Anyone?
75, I think.
80.
76 times. So that shows experience, the knowledge, what have she seen in her life as a chief judge. So all that experience she's going to bring with us today. And she has also chaired a lot of educational committees at the district annual conferences when it was District 79, of course. And she is a mentor to many clubs, to many individuals. And with that experience, we have our first speaker, Toastmaster Madhavi Tiwary ji. She'll be presenting us the art of chief judging, what are the requirements, how we need to look at our rule books to know the chief judge activities. So with this, I'm not going to talk more about the chief judge because we have a trainer. So with this, let me invite with a huge round of applause from all of you, virtual, or you can unmute yourself, and let's give her a huge round of applause to present Toastmaster Madhavi Tiwary. I request all the others to please go mute because now let us presenter speak. Thank you very much for that. Toastmaster Madhavi Tiwary, floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, DTM Khalid, our PQD and the moderator for today's sessions. Good morning, all the officials and all fellow Toastmasters and friends. It's very nice to see many people here. There are many faces who are new to me, so I'm very, very glad that you are added to my friend circle now. So let me share my screen with you first so that we can go ahead with this. All right. So is this visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as you can see, the first thing I need to emphasize is chief judging is not a cosmetic kind of position. So that's my whole purpose of this workshop, of being so willing to present this workshop. It's actually an art, a skill, and even a force. So I'm very happy to make you agree with me that it is so. But before I do that, I must make some acknowledgements. All those many years back, which I was avoid to write, but DTM Khalid made sure to say that I'm ancient. But all those years back, my first chief judging workshop that I attended was by DTM Matthews P. Kurian. And then sort of he opened my eyes to the fact how crucial the chief judge's position is. Then, of course, to update myself, I have done all my updates from the Toastmasters International latest speech contest rulebook. I have over the years, over these 76 times that I have done, almost each time I had to ask a question to the Toastmasters officials individually because something new would come up. So I have gathered some information through that official source as well. And of course, two very important sources, which I would love everybody to refer to as much as possible, are the frequently answered questions on the Toastmasters website, as well as the best practices for online contests. But this is not only for online contests, this is for all contests. So with those thanks to these people, let me tell you what I'm going to do. First, we will do a very quick brainstorming where I have only 2 questions, and I would request the moderator, DTM Khalid, to, when I ask the first question, to facilitate just one response from the audience, anyone you can choose. And for the second question, 2 responses from the audience, and you can choose. Then I'm going to show you 3 real case studies, which probably will give you a very comprehensive idea of the importance of this position. Then we will have a look at the various relevant aspects and, of course, the most important question answer session. I would also request you to take 2 minutes at the end of the workshop and fill up the critique of the workshop. I would request Toastmaster Dinesh Kumar, I sent the critique to you, so please share with the audience later. And of course, there is this distribution of attendance certificate. I have put a question mark there because I have not been able to confirm, but I'm sure the event managers would organize some certificates of attendance for this workshop. So let's start with this brainstorming. And my first question for one response is, what do you think a chief judge must be doing? Whatever comes to your mind first, the most important thing, you can raise your hand and DTM Khalid can choose one response.
Don't see any hand raised so far.
In that case, you are the default.
Okay. I'm okay. I saved myself.
Select the 6
I can-
judges. Select the 6
can-
judges.
Oh, okay. We have from Toastmaster Dr. Asha, right? I guess so. Select 6 judges. I must say you have pointed out a very, very crucial part of a Toastmaster's job. So, DTM Khalid, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think there are
6
some hands
qualified
raised.
judges.
Okay.
Correct. You are absolutely right. So maybe since Toastmaster, DTM Khalid, would you like to add to that? Then we will end this
Yeah, I
question.
think I saw a virtual hand raised by Toastmaster Danish Rizvu as well. Do you want to take that?
Toastmaster Danish, I think you can sacrifice this opportunity because we decided only one response and we got it from Dr. Asha. So let's stick to that.
Thank you.
We will have a private chat over that. All right, my
First,
next
we need to
for
need to understand on the rules how we know to perform as a chief judge and what is required. Thank you, ma'am.
Excellent. So now we have very knowledgeable audience around. Let me go to my second question and we will take 2 responses, DTM Khalid.
Yes. So I will request our audience to please raise your hand and let me choose. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to say who's speaking. So
Exactly. So that's a very nice arrangement. So my next question is, what do you think are the qualities? Qualities. We are not talking about qualifications here. We are talking about qualities a chief judge should have. So any one quality that comes to your mind as very important, say it.
okay, we say
Transparency.
He should be fair and not biased.
Fair. Very, very important. Thank you very much. We can go for one more.
Honesty.
Honesty. Okay, yes, you are absolutely right. I think fairness and honesty go hand in hand. Of course.
Confidentiality.
Correct. So absolutely, there are a whole lot of qualities. But in my next slide, I'm going to share with you the 3 which I consider the topmost qualities. Without those qualities, I think chief judges cannot be effective.
Integrity.
Yes, absolutely. So
I
our
request-
responses are closed now. And I take the entire platform to myself to talk. Sorry about that, but we will have at the end enough time for you to give your input and ask your questions. So, as I think one of the three topmost qualities is being knowledgeable. I have had experience at different levels of different times where the contest results went wrong only because the chief judges did not have sufficient or updated knowledge about their role and the contests. So that's probably the basic thing. Without knowledge, a chief judge will be a cosmetic individual. The second, which I think is extremely important, and in the absence of which even knowledge is not so valuable, is courage. Chief judges need to have a lot of courage, and during the course of my talk, you will see in what all scenarios chief judges need courage and communication. So, many a time, chief judges assume things. They think contest chairs would know their responsibility. Every other role player will know the responsibility. And everybody is senior, experienced, they will know. These assumptions can be very, very damaging. So communication at various points of time with various role players is extremely important so that our contest can go very smoothly and in a very professional manner. So after the qualities, so if we have these three, more or less, we are ready to be a chief judge. And you can see the picture that I have selected for this slide. This gentleman is stretching himself to the full. So that's what a chief judge needs to do, to stretch himself or herself in all areas of knowledge and courage and communication. Now I'm shifting to these true case studies in which I was directly involved. I'll read this first one out to you, and Ditim Khalid then take one response from the audience. So what happened, Gulf Toastmasters annual contest, it used to be before we started DTACs, so that was something like DTAC. The first place winner of the international speech contest had actually plagiarized almost the entire speech from the internet. It was identified as such, and a protest was also made. And by the way, the protest was made by a judge. However, the results remained unchanged. Can you guess what might have happened in this scenario, why the results were not changed? One response, please.
Please raise your hand. I can see Toastmaster Ghulam Farooq. Qadir, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, DTM Khaled and DTM Madhavi. The contest must have been adjourned. So if the protest was made after the contest was adjourned, it's not valid.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Abdallah. This is a very valid guess. This could have happened. This could have happened, and this can happen anytime when the protest is late. However, in this case, unfortunately, it happened because of the chief judge's lack of knowledge about how protests should be handled. I will tell you at some point of time how we handle protests. But this chief judge insisted that the contestant should provide evidence. Sorry, the protester should provide evidence. Only then the contestant can be disqualified, which is not a requirement. This is not part of the protest handling procedure. And naturally, the protester could not provide any evidence, and the results were unchanged and very unfortunate because the entire speech was plagiarized.
Sorry, it could be also the protest is not eligible, meaning it's not a judge or a contestant that have been protested.
Absolutely possible, because only the contestants and judges can protest. However, the case, it is a true experience of mine, when I was present as one of the judges. That's why I insist that how lack of knowledge on the part of chief judge can make this kind of disaster. Now we go to my second case study. This was a division annual contest, and two judges from the same club presented an unmistakably biased judgment. It was very clear that the judgment was biased. This judgment affected the entire results of the concerned contest. There was an all-round agitation about the results. However, the results had to be accepted. Now, this is a very tricky scenario. Maybe we can avoid responses just to save time. And I will explain to you why nothing could be done and how something can be done in future. Now, in this kind of scenario, when doesn't matter how wrong a judge is giving a judgment, chief judge's hands are tied. We cannot change any judge's judgment, and we have to respect the judgment of the judges. So in this particular case, nothing could be done. But I learned a big lesson. I was the chief judge, by the way. But I learned a lesson from there. This was also many, many years back. So as a chief judge, I'm very careful in selecting my judges. Probably, if we have a little time, I will share with you my personal procedure of selecting judges. But as at the beginning, somebody had mentioned, selecting qualified, and I would add competent judges, is part of chief judge's skill and responsibility. We just cannot expect the results to be correct and effective if we have selected our judges carelessly. So I make a list of reliable judges and I select only out of them. So at the selection time, chief judges need to be very careful. Now I'll go to my third case study. It's a different type of case study. This was an area annual contest, and the clip-on microphone went out of order while the first contestant was presenting. It was repaired after the next two contestants had completed their presentations. Now, there were two possibilities, because there is no rule regarding this specific situation in the Toastmasters International rule book. However, the basic rule is that we need to be fair with all the contestants. So just because the first contestants had to continue the speech without the microphone, I, as the chief judge, did not allow any other contestant to use the microphone, even though it was repaired later, because we just had to be fair with everybody. Now, these are emergency situations where we have to think very fast and take fair decisions. Now, decision could have been altered a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is that these kind of situations may happen where the speech rule book does not help us, but we need to use our sense of fairness and rules to take the right decision at that point of time. And that's why I insisted that courage is important for chief judges. A chief judge might have been silent. Okay, first speaker didn't use, that's fine. Now the mic is repaired. Let me allow others to use, otherwise they will feel bad. So that would have been a little lack of courage. So I think these three case studies might have given you some idea what different kind of scenarios a chief judge has to handle and how important it becomes to give competent results. Now let's shift to a few other things. But before I do that, I would like to mention that our time is limited. There are lots of things which I have written on the slides and which are clearly available in the rule books. So I will not spend a lot of time just reading out the straightforward things. However, there are things where I have experienced that a lot of people don't have clarity. So those are the things which I would like to explain a little bit. I hope that will be fine with you. For example, qualifications to be a chief judge. This is a straightforward thing which is available in the speech contest rule book. And I strongly recommend that each time we are a chief judge and before selecting judges, we have a look at this page very carefully. So these qualifications are very basic qualifications, but I would like to point out my recommendation, which is a general traditional recommendation as well, that when we select judges, we might give preference to those who have attended a judging workshop and a chief judging workshop or a chief judging workshop as well. That helps a lot. A judge who has not attended any workshop may not be as efficient as the ones who have attended. So I'll move forward now. So what are I have used this word duties of a chief judge specifically here because there are certain things we just must do. They are not a matter of choice. This picture I have selected with a purpose. So you can see this angry looking figure is can be interpreted as the chief judge. Not only do you see anger on his face, which is not my motive, but you can see that the chief judge is extremely focused on the target. And what ultimately is the target of a chief judge is to ensure that the contest is run smoothly, fairly, and the results are as correct as possible, as fair as possible. That's the target. And whatever I have listed here is leading towards this target. There is no other motive. So the first duty of a chief judge is to diplomatically, of course, we don't have to shout and fight and those kind of things without aggression. Diplomatically but firmly, let no one interfere with what we know to be correct. Now, here a couple of things are very important to note. Number one, again, I'll go back to knowledge. We have to have complete knowledge of the latest rules and procedures. There have been many occasions when I was a chief judge and lots of people tried to interfere. And I'm talking about people who were at the top management position of that particular conference or event. They would come, okay, let's just do this, let's just do that. No, sorry, I'm the chief judge and I have to make sure that we are fair and we are following the procedures. So I will not allow any interference. Because we are responsible. No other person is responsible for the contest's fairness and the results' competence. Now, there are 3 stages a chief judge has to do a few things. For example, sufficiently before the contest, not at the last minute, but this is like, I do it generally at least 2 weeks before the contest. Selecting judges who are qualified, fair, and competent. Now, qualified is very easy to find out, but fair and competent you get to know only from experience. So here I would like to share very quickly how I select my judges. I have maintained a list and I keep adding to that list over the years where I have seen that, okay, this judge seems to be very fair and this judge seems to be competent. There is a difference between fairness and competence. Competence means you know where to mark how, and you don't get carried away by things. So I make that list. So I always, when I have, for example, 8 judges to select, I will always make sure to take at least 4 from my list who are tested and tried, and 4 new ones, because I want to make my list longer. I want to give chance to other people as well. Then, of course, contact them, confirm their commitment. This is also important. contact and clarify with the contest chair. This is where communication is important. Chairperson has a lot of, contest chairperson has a lot of things to do. And normally chief judges assume that contest chairs would know everything and do everything right, but it doesn't always happen. So it's a great idea to contact them and clarify that we are on the same page. And prepare the forms. I will show you a list of the forms that a chief judge has to prepare. And just before the contest, we need to ensure that all relevant equipment and arrangements are available, physical as well as online. Conduct the briefing for all judges, tally counters, and timers in the appropriate platform. Now, this briefing to me is one of the extremely important aspect of chief judging. I have seen lots of chief judges say, oh, you people are all experienced judges, so you don't need briefing. No. Just as I prepare myself for each contest afresh, we have to prepare the judges afresh. So I always carry an agenda with me, and I will show you this agenda that I prepare. So this is my personal agenda, but you can see the points. So that's how I go. I welcome the judges, then judges' certifications of eligibility and code of ethics they need to sign. Nowadays, digital signatures are available, so this can be done even earlier. Distribution of judging sheets, the ballots. Now, the fourth point is very important, which I take a lot of time doing, discussion of the judging criteria, not just the front page where marks are given, but in detail at the back of the forms. So each segment is explained very well. So what are the things that the judges need to look for in that particular segment? And that gives a lot of insight to the judges how to go about giving points in appropriate manner. The briefing points specific to online and hybrid contests. Now, these days, this is very, very important. I will just give you a couple of examples. For example, since technology is not as great as we think it to be, it can fail us anytime. So there are a lot of things that the chief judge, the judges, the contest chair, the arrangers have to decide beforehand. For example, if something goes wrong, how long to pause the contest, what to do and how to communicate with each other. So there are a whole lot of things which need to be clarified at the time of briefing. Code of ethics. I insist that all judges read the code of ethics in front of me so that their consciousness is refreshed. Then we need to remind them that they don't have to bother about timing for disqualifications. Now there's consideration for breaking the rules. See, the rules are different than the disqualifications, right? So rules, we are talking about basically two rules. One is using the speaking area and the other is use of language. Now, speaking area is covered very clearly in the ballot paper itself in the physical segment. However, language is very vague, but I always decide at the briefing that all judges should go in one direction. So in the language point, if we think that some contestant is not going to use the acceptable language, then exactly how many points all judges would deduct from that segment. So we normally decide on 2 points or something like that so that all judges are on the same page. Then, of course, at the time of briefing, we need to remind the judges to avoid 3 clear places. The second point is very important, which is ignored at most contests, that judges should be available till the results have been finalized. And this is where I would like to tell you the protest procedure, because this is directly related to the protest. So when a protest is made, the correct procedure to follow is that, number 1, we communicate to all the judges that this particular protest has been made. And then we give a chance to the speaker in front of all the judges to put across whatever the speaker has to say about that protest. And then the speaker is not there, but all the judges by voting decide whether the protest is valid or not valid. No, it is the judges' collective decision whether they are accepting the protest or not accepting the protest. No evidence is required. It is only the situation, because that's the way it should be. And if the judges are not available, then this whole procedure will go haywire. So this is the agenda. Now, at this point of time, can I request Toastmaster Dinesh to tell me how much time I have already taken? Because we started at some time which I didn't note.
Toastmaster Kiran,
Uh,
timer Toastmaster Kiran.
Yes, she has taken 28 minutes.
so far. Okay, thank you very
Yes.
much.
Go ahead. Enough
So
time we have.
I'll go. All right, so I'll go fast now. I still have about 10 to 12 minutes. So what do we do as a chief judge at the contest? Number one, we are not VIPs, so we don't need to sit in the front row at all. We can best observe the room and everything else if we are at the back of the room. Then we need to collect the time record sheet and tie-breaking judges' ballot ourselves. We need to resolve any protests following the procedure I just mentioned. Now, this again, I would like to really point out, oversee the counting process for accuracy. Now, chief judge is by default the chief tally counter as well. Now, I'll just share with you my very recent experience. One of the tally counters with me, there was a tie. And when I broke the tie following the procedure, she was surprised that the tie is broken like this. She said that the previous chief judge at some other event, what the chief judge did, there was a tie for the second place. And the chief judge broke the tie with the tie-breaking judge's ballot, and that just discarded the other person and went on to the original third position. So imagine how unfair it was to the contestant. No, tie is broken like this. So if there is a tie for any position, let's say second position, then the chief judge consults the tie-breaking judge's ballot, and whoever is on top out of those two contestants, that person gets the second position and the other person gets the third position. So the other person does not go out. It is the original third position holder that has to go out. So this counting and how many points are to be given, multiple checks on adding the points, that particular time is stressful time because, we don't have that much time, but it is the chief judge's responsibility to remain calm and double check all the counting of ballots. Then, of course, we provide the results to the contest chair, and we still haven't finished our duties. After the contest, already some fellow Toastmaster mentioned at the beginning to be confidential. So that we need to emphasize to the judges. Sometimes, maybe not the chief judge, but judges go out and they talk about how they marked and what happened, etc., etc. But all the judges and the chief judge have to maintain confidentiality, whether we are happy or unhappy with the result or the process or whatever, we do not talk about it. That's part of integrity as well. And we dispose of all the ballots and other related documents. So as I said before, courage. If we notice that something is going wrong, anything, this could be anything really, we should not ignore it. We need to stop and make it right. Now, selection of judges, of course, the rules are there, so I will not repeat the rules. But I would point out the fourth bullet in the rules under the rules section. Attendance of all the judges at the briefing is mandatory. This is different from contestants' briefing. Contestant can forego the briefing opportunity, but judges cannot. They must attend the briefing, and I've already mentioned how important it is. Then there are some recommendations which are not the rules. For example, at a club contest, select judges from outside the club as far as possible. As far as possible, this is only a recommendation. And the last one is very dear to me. Use your past experience and interaction to select impartial and competent judges, as I have already mentioned to you. And I'm very happy that our audience is very well aware of this, of the importance of selecting judges, because the whole judgment depends on them. It's not the chief judge who's preparing the results, it's the judges. Then I talked about communication. Now, staying in contact with the judges, of course, is important. So we shouldn't have a dropout at the last minute. We should know what's happening. But the most important is to be in contact with the contest chairperson. And I will emphasize it just by giving one example. And that one example is at one table topics contest where I was the chief judge. We reached the contest is about to start and nobody has any table topic. So there was no topic to use in the contest. So what happened? What happened is this little lack of communication. I, as the chief judge, assumed that the contest chair knows his responsibility. And it is the responsibility of the contest chair to prepare the table topic, to choose a table topic. Chief judge should have nothing to do with it. But my assumption was wrong. The contest chair assumed that the chief judge will bring the topics because knowledge, the lack of knowledge. So if I had clarified this point earlier with the contest chair, we wouldn't have faced this kind of unfortunate situation. So this was just one example to emphasize to you how important communication, but this is not the only point. There are hundreds of points. So my suggestion is that the chief judge should also read the checklist of the contest chair especially, and be in touch and clarify that the contest chair is doing all those things so that both the contest chair and the chief judge are in sync. This is the list of the forms that the chief judge has to prepare. This is easily available in the speech rule book in the chief judge's checklist. So we brief the judges, the tally counters, the timers, and this is done. But what I do personally is I also coordinate and do selective briefing with the sergeant at arms of the contest and the contest chairperson. As I said, sometimes sergeant at arms also can affect the contest negatively if they are not fully aware of what they need to do in the table topics contest, in the evaluation contest, and even in other contests. So just the last few things to remind: observe on your feet, ensure that all procedures and rules are being followed by all the assignees. We cannot ignore if the timer is not doing the correct job, tally counter is not doing the correct job, sergeant at arms is not doing the correct job. Resolve any distractions as well. Pick up the timer sheet and tie-breaking judge's ballot. And the last one, which I haven't mentioned before, as the contest chair announces the winners, check the counter's tally sheet to ensure that the correct results are announced. So many times I have seen in their enthusiasm, in their nervousness, contest chairs announce wrong results. There is a certain order to write the results: third place, second place, first place, and the contest chairs are over energetic and they announce the results in the reverse order. Now, we don't let it pass. Of course, as the chief judge, we have to stop it, we have to correct them, and we have to let them announce correct results. Then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, there can be any number, any types of emergencies. I have covered, I have not covered, the speech rule book covers, it doesn't cover. But if we have an emergency, it is solely the chief judge's responsibility to tackle them promptly. We can't waste time just thinking somebody else will resolve it. No, we need to resolve it. And of course, when we resolve it, we need to be as fair as possible to all the contestants, to nobody else, but all the contestants, because that was our target that I showed to you at the beginning. So I think the most important time of this talk is there. First of all, remember what I said at the beginning. I hope now you are convinced to some extent that chief judging is the art, the skill, and the force behind the success of a contest. I'm not saying you are the sole force, but you are an important force. So now we open the floor for questions. I'm not promising I'll answer all questions, but I may answer some of them.
Yes, madam. Thank you for the wonderful session, and we really encourage everyone to follow this transparency rule and be experienced with the knowledge. Thank you, ma'am, for the educational guidance on chief judging. The question is how different we perform while we select the judges in terms of number of judges, number of tally counters, number of timers, and is there any particular set pattern or a criteria we follow the same for the division at the district? Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry for interruption.
Is
Toastmaster
that
Madhavi, you can just let me allow to say. Toastmaster Kiran, please time the question answer session, change your background. And audience are requested, but please go through the master of ceremony. He will moderate the questions. Thank you very much. And switch on the camera who were asking the question. So I will spotlight the presenter, moderator, and the question asking person. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can I start answering, Toastmaster Dinesh?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess this question was from DTM Ramakumar, was that?
Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, great. Yes, definitely. That's a very nice question. I guess I omitted to mention it. Yes, there is the prescribed criteria in the speech rule book. At club level, we are supposed to select 5 qualified judges plus the tie-breaking judge. And the same for area level, 5 plus tie-breaking. And for division and district level, division and district level, it's 7 plus the tie-breaking. But at the area and division contest and district contest, there is an alternative suggestion as well, or prescription as well, which is to take equal number of judges at area level, equal number of judges from each club, at division level, equal number of judges from each area, and district, equal number of judges from each division. So this is the number prescribed. But if we prefer to have more judges than that, there may not be any harm. There is no rule you can't have more, but we can't have less. And same with tally counters and timers, 2 are prescribed at each level. Sometimes I have seen that events really run short of people, so they provide 1 tally counter, which is not correct. However, since the chief judge is also the chief tally counter by default, so we ultimately become 2 tally counters, but this is not a preferred situation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, how about district, ma'am? Because we sometimes have to rely on a backup staff or a backup panel of judges and tally counters too. And we do definitely recognize them because they are our backbone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Even in physical contests, I have chaired multiple district events as education committee chair. So I know what you're saying. We always have a backup set, even in physical contest. However, in online contests, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it earlier. Especially in online contests, backup judges, backup timers, backup tally counters are a must, because anytime technology can fail any judge or a timer or a tally counter, we cannot depend on that. So we must have the backup. Now, the rule for backup role players, these 3 role players, is that they should, although they are backup, the judges should be judging all through, timers should be timing all through, and tally counters should be present as well. However, if nothing goes wrong, then the backup judge's ballot will not be counted. Similarly, the backup timer's timing will not be counted. It will be used only if there is a need.
Thank you very
So
much.
you would,
Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome.
Thank you very much. So I'll be taking all the questions only and only if the hand is raised, just to maintain the quorum. So I can see DTM Veena Nagaraj. She has raised her hand. DTM Veena. Abdullah, I'll come back to you in a minute.
Thank you, DTM Khalid, and thank you very much, DTM Madhavi, also for that wonderful presentation. Actually, it is not a question; it is observation. I have observed last year's division contest. In one of the contests, a judge was very new, who has not attended any workshops, and even he had contested, and he has been selected as one of the judges. And in another division contest, a person who went on to win at the area level, also in the same category that I'm talking about, has been selected as one of the judges. So it's my suggestion that the PQD and the division directors, when the contest is going on, I feel that it is their responsibility to talk to the chief judges, put just one note saying that have you contested, and how old, how long you are in Toastmasters, and have you attended any judging contests, judging workshops. So that would bring out a better quality of judgment in the contest. So this is my just observation, and I just wanted to tell it since long time actually, but now since it is a day, I thought that I should tell it. Thank you very much. And how you can go about it. That's all my.
Yeah. Thank you, Toastmaster Veena. Yes, of course, the PQD, of course, is there to maintain quality in everything, but this is part of the chief judge's responsibility. This is one of the eligibility criteria for judges, according to the speech rule book, that you cannot have a contestant in the same category at any level to be a judge at any other event, even if that event is not the same event. But if you have been a contestant in that particular cycle, then you cannot be a judge. So that's a disqualification to be a judge. That's where the knowledge of chief judges also comes in place. So that's one of the things that chief judge himself or herself can ensure. And as far as attending judging workshop is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, there is no rule, but it's a very strong recommendation. And it has been a tradition in our district as well, that we regularly organize judging workshops, lists are there, and chief judges are encouraged to select judges from that list of people who have attended judging workshop in the previous 3 to 5 years. Am I right, DTM Khalid?
That's correct. And also the new rules are very specific about all the points which are mentioned. So we encourage all the chief judges to please go through the rule book and of course attend the workshop, ask questions before you take up the role so that everything goes in order. Now I can see next is Toastmaster Abdullah. Abdullah Al-Guz, if you can ask a question, yes.
Yes, hello, this is Abdullah. I'm from Desert Pioneer Toastmasters Kuwait. Madhavi, great job, by the way. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, Khaled, for also being part of orchestrating the speech. This is another more of an observation. I'm just looking for more suggestions because I'm very new to Desert Pioneers. And I'm a relatively new Toastmasters too. Toastmaster member, sorry. Okay, in terms of voting, because we're talking about contests. Now, something else. There's a voting in pretty much every Toastmaster session, right? For best speaker, best role player, best table topics, and all those things. But because I think fair voting, is my voice clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, go
Fair
ahead.
voting starts from there, I believe. And well, when things happen the way they happen, when it's just a normal club meeting and it's more of a community where everyone is familiar with each other, supportive. So it's those parts when I say, okay, you're being kind. I understand that. But again, you have to be fair more than wise, in my opinion, for the lack of a better word. I would say fair more than wise. There was one incident, and I can see it reoccurring because the Toastmaster community around me now are really kind. I would say more kind than bias, okay, in fair judgment. And the woman presenting was very shaky. She was stopping her presentation. She started crying, but she kept it going on. Like she carried on. She went to speech all the way. And this is a Toastmaster session. These things happen. Then they voted her best speaker. And I was shocked because I now joined that community. And I was
Abdullah,
thinking,
if you can come to your questions directly, just to save
I
the
do
time.
talk too much. Yeah, sorry for that.
Yeah, so if you
So
can just make it very specific to your
yes,
question.
okay, I know.
Apologies.
Okay, so how do you determine fair judgments, even if it was something as small as a Toastmaster session? And is it not necessary? Because I wouldn't know much.
Thank you, Abdullah.
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Abdullah. I know some people are mentioning that voting is different from judging, which is correct. But however, I know the depth of Toastmaster Abdullah's question, and I really admire him for this observation. What he's saying, that fairness in judging may start from the club voting level. That's where we learn how to be fair, how to be competent in judging, although it's not a contest balloting. So just very quickly, it's not really related to chief judging. However, very quickly, I think he asked he suggested a relevant thing. I used to do it at my club a lot, that the VP education or somebody should have periodical short talks on how to select best role players, speakers, and other role players, so that people become aware that these things can apply even at that level. And that's how this habit of being competent and fair may develop. And by the time you reach the stage to be a judge, it's already in your blood, right? So that's a very good suggestion. Thank you, Toastmaster Abdullah.
We have DTM's Sayyid Abbas Al-Alawi. If you can ask a question. If you can unmute yourself.
You are muted.
I think he's still in jet lag. He just landed this morning.
So during my workshop, you must be sleeping.
No,
Oh,
never,
sorry
no,
about
never. First of all, good morning, DTM Khaled.
Good morning.
Good
morning,
brother.
everybody. Thank you so much, DTM Madhavi. I really still, my mind is with the plane. I just landed, but I wouldn't miss this opportunity to attend such an important workshop. I have two things. One of them is interaction with case study number 3, where the mic did not function at one of the speaker, the first speaker. My opinion, the chief judge could react immediately and could have stopped the speaker and asked the team to rectify the mic, it would be, in my opinion, if I were the chief judge, I would have this decision. Then stopping the mic, then all the speakers. So I don't know whether this would be a correct decision or not, but this is my suggestion. This is number one.
Can I answer number one first
Yes,
and then
please.
we go to number two?
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, of course, that was a possibility, but I will tell you two things, which probably clarify things more to you. Number one, if we stop the contest, there was no guarantee of time, how much time it would take for them to organize a working mic. And we cannot really delay the contest for too long when back-to-back contests are planned. So that was one part of the decision. Secondly, if you're thinking in terms of judgment, I forgot to mention it. One of my briefing points to the judges is to sit very close to the performing area, very close to the stage, specifically for this purpose, that if there is some technical difficulty there, they should still be able to hear the contestant. So as far as the judges were concerned, and I make sure of that. So as far as the judges were concerned, microphone or no microphone, their judgment was not affected. So at that point of time, I thought that was the best thing to do. But as I mentioned earlier, yes, there could have been other ways. But whatever way we went, we had to make sure that we were fair and the other related things were not affected. So you can go ahead with your second question.
That's
and
fine.
sorry for interrupting.
Okay. The second thing, which is really common in every contest and every season, we hear this judges and chief judges competency, and there will be a lot of, talking about unfairness or lack of training, lack of selection. So now hearing this one for so many years, I know there is no certain rules for selection for training, but what we could do much better, this is a kind of a district more responsibilities. What we could do more to really have a panel of approved competency of judges and chief judges. So there is no strong or firm procedures for selecting the chief judges. I cannot see. If there is somebody, please, you are the better person to guide us. But what could be done differently to at least have improved this? Can we add a little bit more of, after a workshop, such a beautiful workshop, such what you call a great workshop, for example, I don't know, a test for chief judges. I mean, somehow, I don't know, somehow we should use, we have to do it something differently, something to improve that this, the panel of judges are the judges and the chief judges, please.
Okay, thank you, DTM Saeed Abbas. I have three quick things to mention in response to your comment. Number one, at our level, we cannot do anything. However, this is not the end of the road. Toastmasters International is very open, and that I have done myself several times, very open to suggestions and such situations. So we can write, you can write as a Toastmasters member, that this is the situation, they should add some kind of a rule, and they will consider if you convince them enough. So this is one way, so don't think this is the end of the road. My second comment is still, again, I'll come back to the role of the chief judge. Chief judge has a very crucial role to play in selection of judges. So combined with experience and the list of people who have attended judging workshops, the chief judge should make careful selection and brief them properly. See, I never allow any event managers to give me less than 1 hour for briefing, because I really discuss everything in detail I let the judges ask me questions, whatever they have. So it's a mini training I give every time I have a panel of judges. Now, my last comment is that we should have a test and a panel of judges. I was just imagining that, but let me tell you something. We have human mind. We are dealing with human mind. You will not believe that a particular individual who I thought gave fantastic judgment in 3 contests would certainly go haywire in the 4th contest. It happens. So we don't know how human mind, we can only try, right? So and lastly, which is the 4th additional comment I would make, if we have a set of just so many number of trained and selected judges, what about new people? How are we going to give chance to newer people? Right? That is also part of our responsibility. So I think we need to combine lots of things together and just try to make sure that things are going fine. But thank you for your suggestions.
I think it's a
Thank
good
you so much.
suggestion,
Thanks.
and I think it's a good suggestion. Now, from this, I found 2 points here. Number one, all the participants and our members in District 20, if you need a chief judge, you have someone ready, say a boss DTM, I'm sure he'll be available. And maybe he can be volunteer as a trainer and do the testing also for us to support the district. Thank you very much, DTM, say the boss. Now, in the interest of time, I'll only take 2 short questions. I'll take 1 short question from Toastmaster Soipol. Make it very short, please.
My question is very short.
Yes.
In the physical contest, online judging is allowed.
In physical contest, online judge, no. This term, it is not allowed at all. The contestants and the judges and the role players needs to be personally present in the contest.
But the judges can be online?
No, they need to be present on site.
On site, okay. And if the chief judge find one of the judges, they are not attending, but he or she gives the vote, how the chief judge can react? If judge find that she's not attending, not he is distracted or she is distracted with something, with the mobile or something, maybe the phone call from the family, anyhow, she or he finds that the judge is not attending the speech, but he or she gives a vote. How are you dealing with that?
I had an experience, very similar experience, when I realized that one of the judges probably had moved out very briefly. I just quietly went and requested the judge not to give me the ballot. Of course, that's why I always have 1 or 2 extra judges than the prescribed number of judges for these kind of situations. But that, of course, the very valid point. I don't think, so at the time of briefing, just to avoid these kind of situations, proactivity is important. So at the time of briefing, we should remind our judges to pay attention to all the speeches equally and not be distracted. Normally, judges do that much they have. But if we notice something, definitely you are right. We do not count that ballot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soipol. Now I'll take the last question and make it very short, DTM Murli. DTM Murli, you're there.
Thank you. This is Murli Manohar. Let me open my camera. Okay, I'm not going to ask you a question, but I just wanted to add on one thing which happened. We should have more number of judges, and if you know, even if they don't see, if I know that they have not been fully participating in the full contest, they send me, but I don't send that to the our ballot counters, and tell them also, please don't count this because they have not been able to present during this meeting. And the other thing which I wanted to tell you about, one of the questions Paul asked, those things. Now every contest is.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Disturbance.
Somebody wants to say something?
No, please go ahead and let's conclude.
Okay, so from the point of judges, all the chief judges should be aware that they are the backbone of the contest. It is not just judging from that side. You have to judge everything from the the one which I told about the core value integrity. Thank you, ma'am. God bless you. We have learned a lot from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
DTM Khalid, can I just respond by
Comment?
one or two
Yeah.
sentences? Thank
Sure.
you.
Go ahead.
Well, your suggestion is correct, but I slightly beg to disagree on one point for a reason. And that point is that if we notice that a judge is not paying enough, is distracted, and we are discarding the ballot, then I personally would inform the judge as well for two reasons. Number one, it is part of the integrity and transparency. We cannot play with judges' emotions. And the second and more important reason is that the judge should know that their ballot will not be counted if they are not being fair and competent and properly attentive. So in future, at least they won't repeat the same thing. Thank you.
Madam, in the
Much.
briefing itself, I inform them, not I tell the chief judges also to inform them that if there is any delay, technical error, please don't send it. Send a message to the CJ that they had this technical issue and their vote will not be considered for that contest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vijay Murli, for your questions and all our audience who participated today and asked various questions to clarify your doubts. And thank you very much, Toastmaster Madhavi Tiwary ji,